All right, welcome back again, dear students. Today we are in lesson 2 of our main topic, transport in plants and animals. So today we want to see how water actually moves from the soil all the way to the root hairs, all the way to the stem, to the leaves and the entire plant. However, also in this lesson, we are going to discuss the importance of water to a plant among very many other processes that are involved as far as water is concerned. So today, we want to begin. How does the process of absorption really occur? So one thing that a student should know is that the process involved in the absorption of water from the soil is actually osmosis. That is the main point. So from this region here, the region I've circled here, this is where the process begins. So how does it begin? Remember, this cell sap, this one, it is the cell sap of the root hair cell. Actually, it is highly concentrated with the solutes and some salts just stored inside. And because of that, this gives it a higher osmotic pressure compared to the outside, the root hair cell. That means water, the film of water surrounding the root hair cell will actually move inside into the root hair cells by the process of osmosis. The moment this water reaches the cell sap, that is region 2, this region 2 here, it actually dilutes the solutes which were there in the cell sap, and because of that, the concentration of this region 2 becomes lower compared to this region 3, and because of that also water moves from the cell sap of the root hair cell to the cortex. Then from the cortex also the solutes which are there are also diluted, so the osmotic pressure keeps lowering, and then the water now moves to the pericycle, and then finally it reaches the center of the root where we have the xylem vessel, which will now be involved in making sure that the water is transported up the stem. So the moment a student reaches this point, now this is a point where a student needs to understand the other forces that are involved in the uptake of water. We are going to discuss one by one in our next session. So that means, just a summary, from the soil particles, the film of moisture which is there, compared to the cell sap has a higher concentration of solids, so it has a higher osmotic pressure. So water will move through osmosis across the semipermeable membrane of the root hair cell into the root hairs, and then consequently it moves all the way until it reaches actually the center of the root. That is where it will actually end up. So what is the importance of water? So actually water is a raw material for photosynthesis. Remember, this is the process by which food is manufactured. Number 2, it is a medium of transport of materials and medium of metabolic reaction. So the various, remember yesterday we said that the mineral salts that are available in the soil are actually transported in a solution form. So that means that water is very, very important as far as that process is concerned. Number 3 is that actually water also acts as a solvent of very many solutes in the plant body. They talk about manufactured food, talk about other waste products that are converted into non-toxic forms. They are also stored. Water becomes a solvent of the same. Number 4, it is going to provide mechanical support. This is important for those plants with weak stems. Yeah, the plants like herbaceous plants with the soft stems. Their cells, when they gain water, they become turgid and therefore become firm to support. Finally, water has a cooling effect. Remember, the moment water is lost by transpiration, actually the one coming from the soil now cools the cells, because remember the water is lost in form of vapor, meaning it must boil and evaporate. So this one coming from the soil is cool to ensure that the other parts of the plant are cooled down. So this is what we have already discussed about. Just the points to note: water is absorbed by the root hair cells by osmosis. The second point, the soil particles are the ones which have a film of water, and the cell sap of the root hair is more concentrated than the soil water. Then number 3, due to this difference in the concentration between the cell sap and water in the soil, water actually moves into the root hair cells by osmosis across the semi-permeable membrane. So those are points to note for a student to understand exactly what you are talking the other side, and even when they want to have a recap of the same, they can always refer. Then that's not all. On the same note, the moment water reaches the cell sap of the root hair cell, it lowers its concentration, as water will move to the neighboring cells by osmosis. Remember, we highlighted those cells like the cortex, like the pericycle, the endodermis, among others, until water reaches the center of the root. That's where we have xylem and of course phloem. Once inside the stem, water moves up by the forces. I told you the forces include capillarity, root pressure, cohesion, adhesion, and then of course transpiration pull, among other forces which we are going to discuss. Then once inside the leaves, water enters the mesophyll, and by osmosis it moves also from cell to cell in the submerged stomato spaces, where it evaporates into the hair, creating that pool which we were talking about. Now,